Hi, I'm Pete May, president of GreenBiz Group. Delighted to be here at GreenBiz Studio with an old friend of GreenBiz, Suzanne Fallender from Intel. Delighted to have you here with us. And talked with your colleague Todd Brady last time we did a GreenBiz Studio talking about water. And I've known somebody that's worked with Intel for years, and water is a very, shall we say, a precious commodity for you. Todd talked a little bit about your water stewardship. Give us an update the last 6 months or so. What are the things we need to know about what Intel is doing in water?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's been a long-term focus for the company, and our strategy has been around conserving and collaborating with others, and also using technology to help in conservation. But in September, we announced our new goal to restore 100% of our global water use by 2025. Yeah. And we're really excited that we've actually made quite a bit of progress since then. We've invested in about 6 different water projects in Arizona and California and Oregon. You're doing a range of things like agriculture and irrigation replacement, wildlife conservation, and some IoT projects that are pretty exciting in that space.
So for Intel, what is it in practical terms? What behavior, to get to 100%, that 100% goal by 2025, what behavior, what things do you need to do, are you doing differently that you didn't do 5 years ago?
Yeah, so what was interesting is we have a 2020 water goal that we're continuing to focus on, and a lot of that is conservation in our own operations. We actually return about 80% of the water that we use back to the local municipalities where we operate. Right. But that 20%, we were looking at that and saying, what more could we do? Could we do something different to continue to bring down that water balance? And so we're doing collaborative partnerships and investments in local watersheds near the operations, both here in the US, and we're going to be moving to do some investments overseas, working with environmental groups, water conservation organizations to identify these projects that there's really a need for the funding in that area, and Intel can help. And one of the things that we've also been excited about is not just our own goal, but looking to how other companies might also do the same thing. So we've had some really interesting conversations with some other tech companies since we announced this past September.
Who are some examples? Who are some of those partners? And I know in the NGO space, Bonneville Environment I know is a big part of it, but on the partner side, who are some of those?
So we've been working with groups like the Nature Conservancy, the National Forest Foundation, Farmer in Oregon, and so it's really interesting. There's lots of different opportunities in this space, and so that's what we're learning as we're going through this process of really those different opportunities, and increasingly which ones of those projects can have technology integrated into the project. So for example, the project in Oregon has moisture soil sensing technology as part of it.
Yeah, interesting. So like any good sustainability professional, you have to switch gears, you work on different topics, right, so you're an expert in water and energy and other areas, but I know a big part of your job is working with the investment community. It's something you worked on for quite some time. I'm curious around ESG goals and how, as somebody that's doing this for a few years, what kind of changes are you seeing in terms of investors and their sensitivity toward ESG, and how is that playing out for you?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is, in these roles, I get to work with lots of groups across the company, from our water teams and supply chain teams, but, one of the groups that I've worked quite a bit with is our investor relations team, and also our corporate governance team within our corporate secretary's office. And we have done a lot of outreach with investors for many years on ESG topics. But what we've done in the last couple of years is done a much more strategic, integrated approach to our outreach to reach more investors in this space, not just the investors that are experts in this area, like the socially responsible investors and research firms, but we're seeing a trend with more mainstream investors asking these questions. And so we're having those conversations across investor relations, our corporate responsibility team, and corporate governance teams together. And I think what we're seeing is that it's really changing kind of the information around what disclosure investors are looking for and how that might shape that over time, but also the connection between sustainability, corporate responsibility, and corporate strategy.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I know for us, the financial piece and investors are something that we never can devote enough resources to. We do have a track here at the event, but we're excited about that and excited to be working with you.
Yeah,
thanks, Suzanne Fallender, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.